Bookies, today we are going to go over some books I recommend for some spring reading. So let's get started. In hindsight, I probably should have put this book out before my readathon. That was literally, well, not mine, it was Charlie's, but before the readathon that I helped host, that was literally called Spring Has Sprung. But here we are, whatever. When I think of spring, I think of rejuvenation, rebirth, things coming back into bloom. The theme of we have fallen, but we are ready to rise again. So that's kind of the theme I was looking for in this stack of books that I pulled. And then a lot of them I was looking for just like a color palette of pink. Pink. But there's not really like a set list of books that you need to follow. Any book can be a spring book. It's fine. This is not a written rule. Do whatever. But I wanted to try to give you also some book recs that I don't see a lot on here or anywhere. So I thought, why not do this? Alright, so I got an extensive list of books to go, so here we go. The first one I'm going to recommend is Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh. Not only is this spring color, but it's literally about rising again. The main character is a necromancer after an event where she goes to do her job and her partner, he ends up dying. She falls into oppression only to rise again with a renewed strength to go and do what needs to be done. This is such a fantastic book. It is sapphic. It's just so great. I like necromancy. That's why I really like Sabriel. This gave me a lot of Sabriel vibes, although it is not Sabriel. Not Sabriel. But such a good book. Very, very understated. Definitely check it out. The next book that I have is Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardoust. This is about a girl who was cursed with plant abilities. She can't get close to anyone. She can't touch anyone. They're poisonous. Her plants are. Think like Isabella from Encanto, but if they were poisoned. And literally growing everywhere, and I think they turn her skin green. I don't know. I listened to this book on audiobook, so my memory is a little foggy of it, but I do know that this book was absolutely gorgeous. The main character goes through so much, and a lot of deceit. Literally, like, she is part cinnamon roll, and it's such a tragic thing to see her go through all this stuff, but she does rise again, more powerful than ever. Fantastic, fantastic book, and I cannot highly recommend it enough. The next one is for prom vibes, because this is prom, well, we are entering prom season. It's Cupcake by Cookie O'Gorman. This one's mostly about homecoming, but same prom vibes. This girl, she is a fandom nerd, like me and a lot of other girls are, and when her friend enters her into a contest, Lordy. Well, not a contest. When her friend enters her into the running for Homecoming Queen without the main character's knowledge, she is shocked to say the least. She does not want to do it until she gets partnered with this boy. His name is Reese. I know, like from ACOTAR. They're a little bit of an ACOTAR vibe to it, but it's cute. Then starts the hilarity of the book. This is such a sweet book. I absolutely loved it. And even though I felt like there was like a little bit too much of the fandomness to it, and I think there was one HP mention, I think, but I'm not entirely sure. Check my long review. This was such a good book regardless. I recommend it. The next one I'm going to recommend is The Babysitters Coven by Kate Williams. This is The Babysitters Club meets Supernatural. What happens is our main character, her name is Esther, I think? No, Esme. I'm so sorry, Esme. Her name is Esme. She is a babysitter, of course. After her mother has been institutionalized and her father works himself basically, not to death, but you know, the figurative saying, he works a lot. He works a lot to provide for them, but with the mother's cost, wow, it's raining, with the mother's mental health costs at the institution, stuff like that, she takes on babysitting to get extra money. Her mother was also a babysitter, and that was like her passion in life. But after one incident where she is babysitting and some spooky stuff happens, something tries to take a child that she is watching, she becomes familiar with this coven of babysitters who use magical weapons to help protect the children that they are rearing from these interdimensional monsters. It sounds bizarre, but it works, and it is so good. It's part of a trilogy, and I've never seen anyone talk about this book, and it's so good. Like, yo, need to read some better books. Next up is The Henna War, is by Adiba Jaigirdar. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to learn how to pronounce names, so please correct me again if I'm wrong. But this is such a sweet sapphic story about this girl has this upcoming school competition where everyone in the school has, well, in her grade I think, has to come up with like these small businesses and present them. She is Indian, and she figures that she could do henna because she's very good at it. Like, so good. Like, the drawings are so good. So she comes up with that idea. But someone else does, and she's Brazilian, and she also wants to do henna. So then it becomes a competition between them. They are rival. It is a rivals to lovers romance. It is so good. I cannot recommend this enough. Next up, another one that is set in school during like a homecoming thing. It is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. So the plot of this book is our main character, whose name is Liz. She wants to go to college, but her family can't afford it through some unfortunate stuff. So she gets word of this scholarship that she can get to be able to go to her college that she wants. But she has to win prom queen slash king. So she enters, and she's not really the most popular girl. She's nerdy. She's not in like the top, well, I mean, like, academically, she's super smart, but you know how school works, like the class system. She's not like with the popular kids. She's more like my level, where I had like 3 friends. But she enters, and it's basically her fight to win this scholarship. She teams up with someone else, and it's another sapphic romance. I don't know what to say to y'all. I really like sapphic romances. I do read other books, I promise. I promise to recommend more of these if this is the first video that you see. But man, I really like sapphic books. But yeah, another sapphic book, but this is so good, and it touches on a ton of different topics. And definitely the character in this book, she does like figuratively fall, but she rises again and she comes back. Well, comes back better than that. You know what I mean. It's a saying. She doesn't have, you know. The character like figuratively falls and then rises to prove that she is a boss lady. That she is. Next up, which is the perfect recommendation if you are a theater nerd, it is The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre by Talley. This is set during the during a year, I think it's their senior year of school theater productions. Melody has quite a history of falling in love with someone that is working in the school production, and things go awry. So they believe that it is a love curse that Melody has, you know, as all theater curses go. So they have a bet with her to not fall in love with anyone. Well, then enters this girl who signs up and gets the lead role. Melody likes her. Melody likes her so much. It is such a fun book to read, filled with so much theater humor. The perfect read for theater nerds. And so much, you know, like, Melody falls in love, Melody gets hurt, Melody rises again, Melody handles the curse in some way. Next up is Like Other Girls by Britta Lundin. Not only is this book spring themes. It takes place during football season, which is, I think training starts in spring. I don't know. I'm not a sports person. Just go with me on it. Just go with me on this, okay? But the main character named Mara, she plays basketball. When she gets into a fight with someone else on the team, she is kicked off the team until she can prove to the coach that she can play another sport without having another violent incident. So she joins football. not really the brightest of ideas, but it works because football, as much as I don't like football and all the dangers associated with football does really good at getting out some aggression. So she joins football, and she accidentally inspires the other girls in the school to also join football, and thus they have like their own little squad of female football players who are going to play with the other football players. Such a good book about Mara discovering her sexuality, Mara trying to come out to her parents, and Mara literally falling in the first couple of chapters and then rising up like the phoenix in the night and going out and getting stuff done. Such a good book. Next up is Every Variable of Us by Charles A. Bush. This is a bit of a sadder book, but it's such a well done book and so important, and I always love recommending it. Her name is Alexis. After she is injured in a drive-by shooting, her chances of getting out of her neighborhood are diminished because she can't play her sport. So then she decides to join the STEM team in school and go from there with the help of her newfound friend. Such a sweet book, but very, very touching, with a very important message in it, and so much care went into this book. Like you just can't not read this book. You need to read it. Next up, I don't ever see anyone talking about this. I think I've seen like one other person talk about this book. It is What I Want You to See by Catherine Linka. It takes place with this prestigious art school, and Sabine, who I think is homeless. I'm not entirely sure. Fact check that for me, because I really need to reread this book. It's so good. Sabine is, I think, homeless. And she's there on scholarship, I believe. She has an amazing art talent, but when she falls in with the wrong crowd, things start to occur. It was probably one of the first books in a very long time to make me cry, and I don't get emotional. So when I say that, it means that you really need to pick this up and have some Kleenex ready, because it is so touching and so moving. What happens to Sabine and her journey to figure out what she wants to do with her life. The last book I'm going to recommend is Your Life Has Been Delayed by Michelle I. Mason. This is actually a fun book, and it deals a lot with time travel. There is an unexplained event that happens in the beginning. Our main character boards a flight, and her flight lands 25 years later. The passengers didn't experience any difference in the flight. They just landed, and there was a time shift. So this girl, who's literally still a teenager when she should be an adult, is having to face some really, really tough situations with really, really old parents. Her little brother is now older than her. Her boyfriend has moved on, and he is with his own family and kids. 3 of her grandparents are dead. It is such a touching book about how our main character experiences such tragedy, unfathomable tragedy within, because this wasn't like a short flight either. I think it was supposed to just be an hour or so. So within a couple hours, her life is completely destroyed, and the journey to her picking herself back up and journeying forward is such an amazing one. Such a good book, so moving, and it's really fun. I really like time skip books. I like books that deal with time travel and stuff like that. So if you like that too, this one's worth it. Alright, so that is some spring books that you can read. Not all of them were set in spring. Not all of them were spring themed. Well, you know, whatever spring themed is. But they're all fun. And, again, I like to recommend books that I don't normally see. So there you go. Definitely check out all of those. Tell me if you've read any of them down below. And thank you guys for watching. See you again. Bye.